And as we are getting started here with our top 10 match, again, congratulations to all of our players in our top 10. But right now we have a very fun match scheduled here. At the start of round 4, I mentioned that Cole was playing Ral Monsoon Mage. It seems like there just happened to be an error with the upload of what deck list, so we'll have to get that fixed. But just everybody is tracking that Cole, who is currently seat 1, is playing Quark Sakashima. So that is the deck they're playing here. But again, congratulations to our top 10 buys, Marcus and Dustin, both of which have been on camera here today. But we have another great game for you in our top 10. Looks like it started with Karkashima going first, and that is Cole. We'll play a land. Here's a Chrome Mox. We'll exile a card here. And looks like a fetch. And that'll just be the turn after casting Quark. We'll pass on over to our cEDH player, Caleb, who I believe has been on screen today. Starting town, Ignoble is going to be the play and the pass on over to Will. Looks like it'll be a Shifting Woodlands. Who Will is on Lumra here in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, turn 3. And then Johnny in the bottom left, your seat number 4 is on Rog Ishai, the same as round number 4 where we saw them. So looks like that will be a Tundra land for turn, cast, Esper Sentinel, cast Roger, and a pass. Looks like we'll play another fetch land here. Looks like that just might be another duel of some sort, but it'll just be a creature and a pass. And looks like a Cabbage Merchant from the cEDH player Caleb in the top right hand corner of the screen. Off the Ancient Tomb as land for turn. And we're just going to take another look at that Cabbage Merchant. Again, we'll trigger off of every non-creature spell an opponent casts. And we'll make a food, and then you can tap 2 foods to make 1 mana. We'll go over to Lumber's turn. Turn 2 cycle here, and it'll be a land. And the name of that card escapes me. But very good card nonetheless. Aftermath Analyst, right? So that will enter and mill 3 cards. And then for 4 mana, sacrifice the Analyst. You can return all land cards from the graveyard to play tapped. And we'll pass on over to Johnny. The last turn of our turn 2 turn cycle, it will be a land. So we'll see what the play is here. Looks like nothing, as it'll be a pass on over to Karkashima. I'm not gonna lie, that might be a Ragavan. It's a little hard to tell. There's a little bit of glare on that card, but that seems to be in the way that we're attacking. That is a Ragavan that was played out last turn. So the flip will be Pact to Negation. And 2 damage taken to Johnny. So we'll go to the post-combat main phase of our Karkashima player, Cole. Making a treasure here. And And looks like a stock up was the call. Krakashima trigger. We'll get the flip and see if the spell gets copied. And that's an even, so looks like that will be a copy for evens. Let's hope that continues to be consistent here. Stock up all-time powerful card out of a relatively recent set. So very fun to see some new cards, see a lot of good play, and I mean, stock up is absolutely a broken Magic card in my opinion. That card is very, very good. Has no reason to be as strong as it does from the Aether Drift set. But looking at the top 5, putting 2 in hand, the rest on bottom. And we'll see what the rest of the turns got cooking up. I can't imagine a lot, although a third land has not been played out, as this is the first turn of the turn 3 turn cycle. And looks like our Krakashima player will go to the end step, discard a card, and pass. So we'll pass on over to Sisei. Again, an ignoble and a Cabbage Merchant in play, accompanying Starting Town, Ancient Tomb, and now Command Tower. And this will be a Sisei, Ancient Tomb plus Command Tower for white. 1 treasure, or correction, 1 food. Currently in the battlefield for our Sisei player, courtesy of the Cabbage Merchant. And it'll be a pass of the turn, so we'll go to the 3rd turn of our turn 3 turn cycle. Let's see what Lumra wants to do around here. And we'll think Lion's Eye Diamond in the hand, so could potentially turbo out the Lumra here. And Destiny Spinner, making creatures and, I believe, enchantments uncounterable. Yeah, creatures and enchantments you control cannot be countered. And Echoing Deep's the land for turn, which will enter as a copy of a land in the graveyard. Didn't hear quite what it was, so my apologies there. And looks like it'll be a Ristic Study when we pass on over to Johnny's turn on Rog Ishai. The last turn 3 of the turn 3 turn cycle. Ancient Tomb plus Tundra and the Gemstone Cavern was the land for turn. I'm not sure if anybody wants to deal with that, and it looks like it'll be fine. So Ristic Study, the great enabler of all decks that can play it. Here comes 2. Looks like it's over at Johnny. And that'll be a Treasure Made and a Subtlety flipped. And that'll be the combat there. So we'll move on over to the post-combat main phase. This is the first turn 4 of the turn 4 turn cycle. Let's see what the play is here. Here's a land, here's a Chrome Mox. Here's a card. Let's see if we can identify this card here. Looks like maybe a Swords to Plowshare is going to deal with that card going to the end step potentially. So maybe I'm glad, so I won't have to figure out what this card is. Let's listen to our players. Orange Champ MindBreak Trap in the hand of Johnny. Mental Misstep in the hand of Caleb. It looks like the Swords of Plowshares on the stack, targeting Quark. See how the players want to move here. Again, a MindBreak Trap in the hand of Johnny, a Mental Misstep in the hand of our State player Caleb. Looks like Cole's going to respond here. It looks like trying to politic some deals here for the removal of maybe Cabbage Merchant and keeping Quark alive. Looks like it'll be up to Cole to respond to the swords on his own. I can't see what that first one was. Might have been a Spell Pierce. Just hard to tell from the art. Looks like there's a Harmonic Prodigy on the stack, so I finally got that card, figured it out. So Harmonic Prodigy on the stack still. Swords of Plowshares has resolved, targeting Quark. And it looks like the Harmonic Prodigy will resolve. Quark will be put back on the stack. So again, just our players sort of talking about how to go about countering and sort of sequencing here. A lot of talking, a lot of chattering around. But you can understand that. No player wants to be put in a disadvantageous position this early in the game. As we'll pass on over to Caleb, the second turn of our turn 4 turn cycle. Looks like Caleb will just untap and pass. 5 mana available for Caleb, although not all of it colored. Actually 6 mana available, but 2 of it colorless. And it'll pass on over to Lumra, the third turn of our turn 4 turn cycle. Destiny Spinner in play, so the ability to have creatures and enchantments be uncounterable. And again, a card we saw earlier was Lion's Eye Diamond in the hand of our Lumber player. Players talking strategy with Ristic. So kind of our players just talking about when the right time to kind of stop cards is. To include the Cabbage Merchant, the Sisei, potentially drawing off a Ristic Study, but leaving around no room to interact. Just sort of talking strategy here, which makes a lot of sense. Again, want to make sure all of our players want to make sure that their plays feel impactful, feel valued, and that they are advancing their position in the game. Something very unique to our format. Something that might be annoying for players, beloved by others. So, a reminder, we are still in the turn 4 turn cycle. We are on Lumra's turn in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. A gut shot coming somewhere. We'll have double Quirk triggers from the Harmonic Prodigy in play, plus a Ristic Study trigger on the stack. Mental Misstep will attempt to counter that gut shot again, at least to camera a known Mental Misstep. I'm not sure if that gut shot would be going anywhere but the ignoble. Just not sure. Tony's potentially saying that he will save a counterspell in order to let the Ristic have a draw, but it looks like that was declined by Cam, our Sisei player. The last Ristic Study trigger will happen. That was not paid for. And then we have some Quark triggers. And even previously that was the gut shot. So I think we're just getting a judge called over just to make sure that everyone was fine with how the dice was rolled here. And just, it is a little tough for, physical dexterity things. Is why a handful of cards are banned out of Magic in every format. A lot of the physical dexterity is not necessarily a common part of the game today. The flipping of coins and the rolling of dice are more frequent than not. The D&D Commander set, stuff like Quark. Now, there are a handful of those lingering effects in the format, but for the most part, they are kind of long gone in an older time of Magic. But I think we're just talking to the judge about this physical dexterity check. But let's talk a little bit more here. It looks like the gut shot original copy was countered by the Mental Misstep. If I were to take a guess, that's probably going at the Cabbage Merchant, because that's what was discussed here by our players. Just trying to make sure they don't give cEDH that advantage for having 5 colors here. Which would be the case if that Cabbage Merchant gets stopped right at this moment. That would leave 4 mana, 4 colors of mana, but not the 5th. But a very risky decision here, just off the 2 Krark triggers. They both have to come up in the correct manner. Again, we are on Loomer's turn. If I were to take a guess, we were on the end step. And this is the turn 4 turn cycle here. We're passing on over to Johnny. I think if I'm in position here, our cEDH player has done a lot to protect the Cabbage Merchant, which makes a whole lot of sense. They can just accrue a lot of value without having to harm themselves and their mana base. Continue to push through for a lot of legendary effects. Couple of planeswalkers here in the list, the Teferi, 3 mana, Tyvar, and Dahada, so not full planeswalkers, but a handful of impactful planeswalkers here. Seems to be the plan. But it is a deck that does not have a whole lot of interaction. Force of Will, MindBreak Trap, Fierce Guardianship, Swan Song, Misstep, Strict Serenade, Dispel, Flusterstorm. Looks like we're doing actual coin flips here, as looks like our judge did come down and make a ruling that we'll just do some coin flips from here on out. So it looks like one of those gut shots has been returned to the hand, and one of them has resolved. So 1 damage marked on the Cabbage Merchant. Again, we are still in our Lumbra player's turn. So let's see if there's anything here. Looks like it was not the end step. It was just pre-combat main. Potentially even upkeep. Lotus Cobra, the creature. A Boseiju played as land for turn. So that leaves the possibility of 3 mana. Sylvan Library. Using the 1 floating. And 2 draws for Johnny, 1 off of Esper, 1 off of Rhystic Study, and 1 mana for the Rhystic Study for Lion's Eye Diamond. And looks like the activation of cEDH is happening now. That Sylvan Library did give our cEDH player the 5th color with the 4th food. So we'll see what cEDH wants to search up here. Now, I'm not sure LED is going to stop anything or going to start anything right now. Lumra is still 6 mana, so no mana doublers. The 1 mana off of the Lotus Cobra has already been used, so no extra mana sitting around in play. We'll see what Caleb wants to get out of their deck. What legendary permanent? Wow, that's a card art. I don't know, man. Taru? I don't know. What is this? What are we doing? Alright, I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. I'm gonna look at a handful of cards and like Scryfall. See if I can't take a guess here. Not an Emil. I've got no clue what this card is. I can't even see its mana cost. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a creature. I can see it's got a creature text box. I mean, some of these alternate arts are just a little hard to see, but I'll make my honest effort. That seems to be the grab, the final grab here. I think I was right with Tataru Taru. I think that's the same art. So I was right. Tataru Taru will hit. An opponent will draw. Well, opponent may draw a card, and our Sisei player will draw a card. Looks like we will draw that card. Sisei will make a treasure token, a tapped treasure token potentially. And we'll go on over to Johnny's turn. He will untap. This is the last turn 4 of the turn 4 turn cycle. Johnny will untap and cast an Enlightened Tutor. I was not able to see if Johnny drew for this turn, so this could be in the upkeep. I was trying to hunt down this alternate art to Tataru Taru, so apologies there. Let's see what Johnny wants to go get with this Enlightened Tutor. Let's see if we can spike him and take a guess. Oh, Underworld Breach. Yeah, I was too late. I mean, that's never a bad card. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how much longer this game's going to last if, MindBreak Trap is in hand, but no spells have been cast from the opponent, so you do kind of have to force your way into it. A handful of cards in here for our Rog Ishai player that can force out some counter magic, maybe Born Upon a Wind, maybe a Silence, maybe a Reb on something, and then also the counter spells. The Spell Pierce was known in Johnny's hand, well, known to the camera at least, known to camera and Caleb, because Caleb revealed it to me. So, yep, and that was in the upkeep, in fact. So, Johnny will draw the Underworld Breach. We'll play a land, Marsh Flats, and fetch. Say that 5 times fast. And Johnny with a handful of cards in hand, about 75 it feels like for the opponents, I'm sure, at the table. 3 cards in hand for Lumra, 2 cards in hand for Sisei. A few more for Karkshima, but just unbridled in comparison to how many Johnny has in hand from both the Esper Sentinel and the Ristic Study, accruing a significant amount of advantage so far in this game. Arid Mesa was Plateau was the grab off of the Marsh Flats. So right now, Ancient Tomb, Gemstone, Cavern, no counter, and Plateau. So only red or white as the color palette for Johnny's turn here. That is enough for an Underworld Breach, though, I will say. I don't know what that one is. That could potentially be Storm Count, which would be awesome. Could find another way to make blue. You know, a handful of artifacts coming down. Maybe an Arcane Signet, Mox Diamond, even Springleaf Drum, Lotus Petals, Mox Opal, and we'll see a Mox Opal come down. Cabbage Merchant will make a food. Here's 1 mana for probably a 1 mana artifact. Looks like it will be, and I've got no clue what that one is, so who knows. Cast Rite of Flame. It could be Springleaf Drum. That's like my only guess. So Rite of Flame. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Storm count 4 here. I was right, by the way. That is Springleaf Drum that was cast. Rite of Flame cast here, making red for our Rog Ishai player. And it looks like we're going to keep it chugging along. So 2 red in the pool here. Let's see what Johnny has up his sleeve. Again, a million cards in hand. May as well have the deck. There's so many cards in hand, plus so many ways to accrue advantages when the opponents here are going to try to interact with Esper Sentinel and Ristic Study, forcing them to pay 2 for anything they might interact with. There's not a lot of mana to go around here. Looks like Force of Will attempt to counter the Underworld Breach. Double Quark triggers and Ristic Study. Active player, non-active player means that the Quark triggers should happen first before our Quark triggers. It looks like we'll get the draw. It's either an error in sequencing or a skill issue on my part. Remains to be seen. That Underworld Breach was enabled by the Ancient Tomb, so one colorless left in the pool here, in addition to the one red left in the pool, the 2 total mana. Springleaf Drum. Guess this will respond to everything, including the cart triggers. Springleaf Drum here. Probably making red, or correction, probably making blue for likely a Spell Pierce. Oh, Orim's Chant. Looks like that was directed at Cole. I'll play in the top left-hand corner of your screen. We'll see if that resolves here. We did know about the Orim's Chant from camera. I did forget about it. Once again, skill issue, but let's see what wants to happen here. Copy of Force of Will on the Underworld Breach. And the other 2 don't matter. Target has fizzled. Here is a Lion's Eye Diamond turning on that Mox Opal. Orim's Chant has silenced our Karkashima player in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Mox Opal will be tapped in order to cast some card. Lion's Eye Diamond will be activated. It could possibly be a Savine's Reclamation. Again, an art I am unfortunately unfamiliar with here. If that is the case. So there's only a handful of white cards or artifacts that could look like that. It might have been a relic. I guess I didn't really get a great look at it. Lion's Eye Diamond just seems to be in play. 2 mana available. Large storm count here, but no way to recycle blue out of what we have right now, so potentially this Rain Freeze is not as applicable here. That's got to be a spell, right? That's got to be some white spell. I don't know. Idyllic Tutor? That's in the list here. I don't know what it could be. That is an Idyllic Tutor. Okay, sick. We we fucking nailed it. All right, Idyllic Tutor. I'm not sure if that might just be showing that it's there to grab enchantment. I'm not sure what other enchantment would be great to grab here out of Johnny's deck. I mean, there's Copy Enchantment, Curse of Opulence, Mirror Maid, Smothering Tide, but I'm not sure what that enables out of the Idyllic Tutor. But let's listen into our players. Let's see if they can provide any sort of insight here. Well, looks like back to the gamble. Looks like there might have been a judge question here around, but looks like that all got settled, and here comes a gamble down. And with what feels like 50 cards in the hand for Johnny, those gambles got to be feeling pretty safe. Now, that does remain to be seen. Savine's Reclamation is an obvious get here, but I'm not sure if there's... No, there is 5. Yeah, the 1 mana floating, the LED, and the Mox Opal all make 5 mana if you tap them correctly at the very least. Well, I guess Springleaf Drum is in place. Even with Lion's Eye Diamond gone, there are still 3 artifacts. So 5 mana total represented on board. Savine's Reclamation would be a good one to go get, because if you just discard your whole hand, you can Savine's Reclamation, Lion's Eye Diamond plus Underworld Breach back, start the loop from there. Even an empty hand gamble into a Brain Freeze is not necessarily a bad thing, as it does allow you to just recast the Brain Freeze because you have Underworld Breach in play. If I were to take a guess, that's a Spell Pierce. So LED cracked for some amount of mana, but the minimum LED or Mox Opal will make white, and then Savine's Reclamation or Lion's Diamond will discard the hand. Savine's Reclamation will target, if I'm going to take a guess, Underworld Breach and Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll see what's in the hand here, if anybody has anything to stop. I guess an activation from cEDH just to take a look, but our players see the writing on the wall. So we'll see what cEDH player wants to cook up here. That looks like a Lavinia, which is a great include here, but I'm not sure that it's necessarily going to help except for against the Lion's Eye Diamond recast. Lavinia says, opponent can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands they control. Not particularly relevant here. And then whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. So Johnny will have to figure a way around this Lavinia, or maybe a way to remove it, but there is an Into the Floodmaw in the graveyard right now. Savine's Reclamation has already brought back the Lion's Eye Diamond the first time. That can just be cracked for triple blue now. Into the Floodmaw will bounce the Lavinia, and then sort of go from there, I imagine, is a line. Seems... I'm not sure what else this cEDH player could do. That's a great grab. I mean, if we're being honest. I'm just not sure what else could have happened just looking at the deck list. I mean, maybe like a Spider Woman. I would have to look and read Lion's Eye Diamond Oracle text, but I don't think Lion's Eye Diamond taps to activate. I think it's just sacrifice plus discard of the hand. So, I mean, the Lavinia was a great grab. It just happened to be not exactly what was going to stop it here. So, Johnny very, very safely here, kind of going off. Exiling some cards, recasting this Lion's Eye Diamond. Just going to go ahead and get the gamble back. Once again, likely for the Brain Freeze. Either Brain Freeze out the table, Brain Freeze himself into Thassa's Oracle WinCon. There's any number of things that can happen here at this point. Can even just be an Ishai cast and then continue to loot the Lion's Eye Diamond for a bunch. Hullbreaker Horror grab, bounce a lot of things. But a Brain Freeze to the table is probably the safest way here. Does not look like there's a Wheel of Fortune in the deck for Johnny. Interestingly enough, I don't see a Thassa's Oracle in the deck here, so... I think he's talking through it. I heard him mention Angel's Grace, which split second. You can't lose the game this turn. Your opponents can't win the game this turn. So, infinitely milling yourself with Brain Freeze in order to mill out the opponents. Does seem like that'll work here. And that's the current storm count for a 36 milled. Potentially into the Floodmaw cast, bouncing the Cabbage Merchant. So we'll see if that initiates any responses from our Sisay player. And looks like the Channel Creature in hands. I'm not sure that would be enough. No response, so that Cabbage Merchant will be bounced. Looks like some mana was floated, but potentially inconsequential here. Lion's Eye Diamond recast, and looks like we can just cycle out the Lion's Eye Diamond a handful of times, but Johnny wants to be extra safe. Gonna go with a Ranger Captain to silence the table, just to make sure the line is extra protected. And looks like that will be the case here, as no one will have an issue with the casting or the activated ability thereof, the Ranger Captain. So I think Johnny sort of got this thing locked up again with the high storm count. Looks like 16 right now represented on the table. Trying to find some cards to exile with, or for this Lion's Eye Diamond. Wish we could speed this up a little bit on my end, because I'm going to be honest with you, I think this semifinal game is over. Intuition, the cast, that'll bring the storm count up one more. Just making sure we're sequencing correctly. So the cast of the Brain Freeze will make 17 storm, and we'll exile 3 cards for it. Johnny seems to be counting the last cards in this deck to fill the graveyard and then start targeting his opponents. So 30 cards milled from Johnny, so 10 storm count, and then 7 more from the Brain Freeze will target Caleb on Sisay in the top right hand corner of your screen. This is the seat 4 of the turn 4 turn cycle. Looks like just straight up recast Brain Freeze now, and that's 18. Looks like we're making sure we get the count right in order to mill out the opponents. And this is just the strength of, not necessarily Rog Ishai, although this is a strength of Rog Ishai, but really the strength of the just Jeskai plus any other color. I mean, but it's base Jeskai, right? It's base blue-green white, or blue-red white. Just being able to have the compact package of Brain Freeze, Underworld Breach with the backup kicker of Sevinne's Reclamation, just figure it out some way. I mean, Johnny's not even on Fastest Oracle here, but still was able to protect it. Orange Chant, Ranger Captain out of the graveyard. So, a very good showing from our Rog Ishai player. Hard to go wrong when you're playing colors with such a compact combo here. One that's been very featured across cEDH for a very significant amount of time. So should be unsurprising that it is doing well here. And, you know, the deck is doing what it wants to do. Looks like we might even be going for a cast Hullbreaker Horror, potentially. I see a Hullbreaker Horde kind of move to the side. I'm not sure if Johnny thinks that he does not have the capital to spend out of the graveyard in order to mill everyone out right now. That's the only thing that I think. Okay, so response is here, and looks like that channel card will come into effect. And it will be a bounce. From the Colossal Sky Turtle, targeting the Hullbreaker Horror. Oh, so it looks like it was a bounce of the Esper Sentinel in order to get rid of the third artifact for the Moxo pool. Well, it looks like we'll make the loop with Hullbreaker Horror to just have a bunch of mana, have an infinite amount of Storm, and storm out the rest of the players' libraries. I'm pretty sure that Johnny could have really just gone into the Brain Freeze loop prior to that with the amount of Storm that had already been generated that turn. I mean, we were very close to 20 already. A handful of LEDs would have made 20. So I'm not sure if that was necessarily like it was the safest play that he could have made. I'm not sure that it was the outright correct or wrong, outright correct or incorrect answer, but it was the safest option, right? Just to go ahead, let's make a bunch of infinite mana that is not worried about the graveyard inherently. Let's go ahead and Brain Freeze you, and let's just kill you now on my turn with the Fairy Mastermind. So again, this deck is going to do what the color game plan is. Just a lot of breach combo, a lot of ways to activate it, manipulate the stack, and sort of grind advantage out of the Ristic Study Esper Sentinel. You saw how many cards that drew across the 4 turn cycles that we had. But congratulations. Absolutely nothing taken away from Johnny here. That was a very strong showing here in our top 10 semifinals. So Johnny will move on to the finals. So congratulations to him, and we will join you in just a little bit with our final match, our top 4 players here at MindBreak Magic Take 2 Electric Boogaloo here at the Ript Zone in Milledgeville, Georgia. And thank everyone for watching. Thank you for joining us for however long you've been here and watching all these videos, for watching them on YouTube. Thank you so much. We hope you continue to support us and you continue to watch for our final match. So we will see you in just a little bit for that.